Okay.
I've guessed none of them wrong.
Sam, what are you doing?
They might have this. You get it wrong.
I mean, it's okay.
No. But we have a straight week.
Well, yeah, but
We have Friday, Saturday,
we downgraded from having a he says it's better than
What?
cost efficient.
He's using this like
We're 2 days behind. Wait, no, we're 1 day behind.
Oh, I know you're
Okay, who's on?
Daniel TP and TP.
Yeah, they need to get this.
Well, I'm just talking my phone.
Yeah,
I won't guess out.
I know entities and
I know yours is. I'm just saying events. It's just
Okay.
Minor 9. Major 6. So to be a G. And when you verdict,
why are you making this week paper?
Is this just the work period?
Okay. Oh, thank you so much.
I can hear you.
Okay. 96.
yeah, that's the name.
Here's 96. That's what we're doing today.
And then,
96. 96.
yeah. No, because yeah, that would be on there. And then down here.
Okay. The
Right.
okay. This melody stuff. Just from experience, I like to kind of take it a little slow and just let it kind of sink in. So, you're going to, as far as work is concerned, you have an entire paper there. As best as we can sort of figure, the next time I see you will be next Wednesday. Okay, so I'll expect to get that back. So you have a week. There are a few things in there which we have not covered, like terms. They are all listed at the back of the book. Okay, so all you do is look them up. You should be clever enough to be able to do that. And there's a question on some of the different kinds of chords, which if there's time, I'll just talk about it. But if not, they're also in the book. So you can do some little detective work, call it research, and you'll be able to answer those questions. I'm referring specifically to, near the back.
Page 27.
Question 7. Okay, there's a bunch of chords there. There's a couple of terms, cluster, polytonal, polychords, quartal harmony. They're all in the back of the book, so in the chapter. Very simple. Takes 5 minutes to explain it. If I have 5 minutes at the end, we'll talk. But right now, we'll just get back to the melody. Just want to talk about a few more things. And this exam is what, 2012? Yeah, that's before they switched over to this new curriculum, which includes the melody writing. So you won't find it there yet. You will when I give you some more recent exams. Okay. So before I get to that, since I'm talking about exams, yeah. So just let me refresh your memory. If you're interested in taking the online conservatory exam, this, COVID's really screwed everything up. It is available. What you need to do is inform yourself, go to RCM examinations. It'll tell you, go to level 8 theory, and it'll tell you the process. It's basically the same as last year. Okay, it'll be online. Registration, I think you're good until April 20th. Okay? So basically you've got 3 weeks to kind of get yourself organized. Then once you register, then I think you can almost take it anytime you want. You can do the practice exams. For those who did it last year, you do some of the practice exams and they tell you, they coach you whether you're right or wrong, they give you hints and so on. But once you feel ready for it, then you can actually do the real exam. So you have enough time there, all right, to sort of get yourself. But look into that. I'll do the same thing over the weekend. See if you can sort. It's confusing because there's a lot of information there. But basically, the exam is available, and if you want to do it, then just read the material, and then we'll sort out the details later. Okay. 96. Okay. Top of the page. Parallel period. Okay, just a quick review. So the parallel period was the idea was an exact repeat of the first 4 bars, and you change the ending. So here's the formula. 4 bars end with a half cadence. Another 4 bars repeat. Change the ending. Basically, instead of 1-5, switch 5 to 1. Okay, page 96 for those who are trying to figure out what I'm talking about. Yeah. So. Top of 96. Sorry. Right. Alright, so there's your phone. Alright, so that's the easiest solution to any melody writing. Literally repeat and just change the last little bit. Sometimes you can, as he does, just change the last 2 notes. Okay. All right, that will be too easy. So they say, well, we can't give, if somebody repeats it exactly, puts the ending right, well, you got to give them 10 out of 10. Well, the conservatory is not going to do that. They're not going to give you 10 out of 10 just for copying, right? So there's a little bit of more creative aspect here. So that's what this is all about. So the next 2 examples. And this is the fancy terminology. Sometimes they call the first phrase antecedent and then consequent. It's like a question and an answer. You get question, answer. And in the old English, British sort of books, they used to call it that. Right. Or you can call it A and B. 4 measures, 4 measures. First 4 ends with a half cadence. Next 4 ends with an authentic. Okay. Contrast, and this is what we've been talking about, right? can be achieved a variety of ways, including changes to rhythm, melody, harmony. To create a pleasing effect, composers strive for, here's the key word, balance of contrast and unity. Okay? So that's where the sort of the artistic thing lies, just on that little line between contrast and unity. If you can just kind of nail that. And I've been trying to get across to you some basic principles, which I'm calling those mechanical. In other words, if you do this, you probably come out okay. All right? If you ignore them, you can make a real mess of it. So if you do the mechanical, you'll pass this question. You might not get a 10, but you will pass. Right? And then by how much you pass, that depends on some musical sort of aspects. But we all want to pass. That's basically bottom line. Okay? So here's an example. And just look at it, see, sort of take in. Sorry. So 5, right? Okay? To me, very satisfying. For a number of reasons. Same rhythm, right? But there's a greater sense of going someplace. It peaks at that high A flat, right? So it's not in the same little 3-note area like some of them. And then it comes down. All right? Ends with 5-1. Is measure 2 has a half note, but the corresponding measure underneath, he keeps it moving. And just that one note, what that does is it keeps the momentum going. You know, if you sort of stop things, it's like a bad, you know, putting the brakes on too early or something like that. Okay, so it's a small little difference, but. Well, listen to it again. All right. So, I'd give that a good mark. Probably a 10. All right. So, if I could find something else wrong, maybe like a wrong note in the cadence or something like that, then I would knock the marks off. But basically, there's nothing you can critique, nothing negative you can critique about that. Okay? And it's got that little motive, you know. Beethoven has that. This guy has. Alright? He's got. Whoops. Upside down. Right? So it's that. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum. That's kind of there all the time. Not too much, but just enough. Sometimes it's upside down, sometimes it's that way. So he's got the balance, he's got the unity. Okay? Bottom one. You can see the bottom one does a little bit more wider jumps. Bad. Okay, so he's taking the da-da-dum, 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 and you know, if you were analyzing this, you would make the observation. The beginning is a triad. Okay, so now he takes the rhythm, da-da-dum, da-da-dum, and joins that with the triad, and gets. Nice. All on the tonic and the dominant 7. So that's a more sophisticated one, a little more clever. Anyway. But regardless, if you didn't see that. You just were going by ear. If I played it, you'd say, yeah, the second bar 5 to 8 sounds like it belongs to measure 1 to 4. And sort of with the observations that we made, that's why. Okay. What? 97. We move on. Okay, first phrase. So, what key do we have here? Ooh. Yeah. Okay. So that's your phrase. And the chords here are, to me, they're clearly 1, 5. Alright? So that's what I see, that's what I hear. B, yeah, I'll just sketch them in. You don't have to do this, but that's the implied chord. And this would be the implied. That would be a sharp. You're going to raise the leading note. Alright? So it's basically a scale. Do to sol, and then back down. Big deal, right? I'm not going to win any prizes with this. Alright, so you can hear. Alright, landed on the dominant. Okay. So now the question is, compose an answering phrase, but you know, I could just repeat. You know, the parallel version would be this. So you see how that feels like there's a finality there. So I just put a little skip. I just went there, then I skipped to a C, and then I went to a B. And done. 5, 5, 1. Parallel. All right. Okay. So that's the easy way out. Okay. So what we want is to answer that. We're not going to, all right, we're not going to mess with the rhythm. We're going to just keep the same, keep it there. Okay, I've just ended my step here. All right, so now here's a little advice. Starting from here, again, this is one of those mechanical things. If you're headed here, the next starting note, I would go up or down a step. In other words, start on a B or start on a D. Okay? Most of the time that works. If I start on a B, that might suggest a repeat of the first part, like starting on Do. So maybe I would try something the opposite. So, I would maybe take this idea, Do, Re, Mi, flip it. Okay. All right, so now you've got the opening rhythm. There's unity here because that's the scale. That's the scale going the opposite direction. So there's your contrast There's your contrast right there. Huh? Okay, now, if you go down, that needs to be sharp. Okay? If you go back up, then it's okay. Alright, so, I would probably want to keep going down, just kind of, once you get a little hang of this, you know, you'll sort of come to certain things. Well, I can do this, I can do that. Which one do I do? You know, so if you panic and you don't know which one, you just got to pick one and go with it. So you're kind of making this up. You've got an overall plan. You want to be different, but you also want to connect to it. So. If I went here, I really would have to go back to the B. Do, ti, do. All right? And I know where I want to go. I want to end here. All right? So you figure this from that. You know where you're going. You just have to deal with that little business. Alright, suppose this is coming down, I might propose coming up. Okay, so I just watch carefully. So this would have to be raised. If I'm coming from here, what about this now? We sort of talked a little bit about that last time. Right, I'm going up, the melodic movement. Noah?
That's the reset.
Yeah, so if you're gonna think melodic minor ascending, then that should work as a G sharp. Sorry. Because if I don't put that G sharp, you're going to get this. Alright? And the red pencil comes up. Okay, so augmented second. So with minor, you gotta be really careful. Okay? Anytime you use I would even, remember I said last time, too much leading note. I mean, that's not too much. Once, twice. Actually, we only hear it twice. Right? But if you want this to sound even fresher, I would avoid that. So instead of this guy, I might just double, maybe just double back. Alright? So yeah, possible. But again, if this has a clear direction, all right? And that's pretty important. So, I mean, either one would be okay. Okay, so same rhythm, same features, right? But upside down, and then we have this. So your chord here, the implied harmony. You don't write it in this question, but of course it would be, right? F sharp, A, C, there's the dominant, and then B, yeah. So half, and then, and mark the phrasing. On those questions, if it says mark the phrasing, that's a mark there. like just to give a giveaway bonus mark if you read the question. So that's a possibility. Either one would be okay. The A sharp is the two A sharps would kind of work. Okay. So why I take this slow, all right? Because I want it to sink in that don't just start. Look at what they're giving you. And the idea is to try to figure out what's there on that page that they've given me that I can use to generate a satisfactory answering phrase. So it takes a little bit of experience. But you want to keep to it. So I see a smooth given phrase. Well, my phrase is going to be smooth as well. If that one had lots of triads and broken chords, well, then I go with that. Right? So, okay, let's try another one. So, okay, so key, anyone? Boop. I don't hear it. I hear G minor, sorry. Okay, so there's one, you're not given the leading note, which would be F sharp. There's not even any F there. Okay, so that's meant there to kind of throw you. So sometimes they have given melodies where you could actually harmonize it both ways, like take it as a minor or major. It can work. So not too bad. It's the second, third note that sort of gives it away to me. Right? Na na na. And there's your dominant. If it went 1-5 and B flat, you know, you could conceivably do it in B flat. Well, I think it feels more like a G minor-ish. All right. So this guy here would be G, B flat, D. There it is. And this guy would be, if you had to fully in it. Okay, this one here, basically, you know, a downward movement. You really have much greater variety of rhythms. All right, so you got the straight quarter notes, you got the dotted, and you have the two eighths. So you could explore that. You know, you could just focus on one. Okay, so based on what I said before, let's try the idea of, you know, if you end on an A, we're going to start either on a B or a G. In other words, going from this one to that one, you don't want a big jump. Too many, not that it's wrong, but too many things can go wrong. Let me just put it that way. So I'm trying to just narrow things down to, if you do this or this or this, chances are it'll work out okay. So right now you just kind of limit your options. Okay, so we can start with a Do, we can start with a, right, this one's interesting. Those are both chord notes, like a G minor. So, we could do something. I mean, if you wanted to, okay? So, you could go to another G note, a G chord, for example. So there you're going to hear a G minor chord. All right? You're on Do. So you could try this. Just a possibility, right? Why that? And they all shouted because it's the Re's leading note.
What's the reason?
It's the raise. It's raise leading note.
And what's the next note? And they all shouted.
What is the next note?
They all shouted G. Because you got to go back.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the composer inside you will start to see, hey, that looks like what's on top, but upside down.
Whoa, mind blowing. Insane.
So upstairs, downstairs, okay? All right, so this is what's going to happen sometimes. You jump on something, you say, okay, let's see where that goes, you know? So one idea pushes you towards the next one. The next thing should be pretty obvious. If I keep this, I might want to go Do, Re, Mi with the same rhythm. So let's do that. Okay? So that, if I put a little mirror there, I have the mirror image. In other words, the bottom part's, except for the first note, it's an inversion. Okay? Then, before I do anything, I would stop and say, okay, according to the mechanics, I want to get there. So now you just have this little business to figure out. And you might want to mess with that. I don't. If you tried to go do the upside down thing, that might be a little too much because you would have this and then this. Okay, and it would die on you right here. Why? What do you think?
Too much repetition.
It's just the same G, A, the same two notes over and over again. So that you probably want to go up. Okay? So you can start with an A, or you can move to the C. But then you have to be careful. So we would try to keep that rhythm, right? Alright. Then you have to be careful. Okay, if we're going to land here, we don't want to go too far away. Or the other option would be to take it right to the top here. Alright? So, example. I'll just do this for illustration purpose. Okay? So if I go up, then I have to do this little dude. And they all shouted.
Raise it.
Yeah.
Raise it.
That's
Raise
it.
Raise the roof.
I shouted.
Yeah. Okay. So
Wait,
all right, not all that exciting, because basically it's just a scale, right? So I'm sure we could come up with maybe a better one, but that's okay. I'm sure you could come up with something better than that. Okay. Okay, but that would be a feature just from my own experience. Out of every 10 papers, there will be two people, two candidates who muck this up. They raised one but not the other, that kind of thing. So it frequently happens. So we have to be careful. One way is simply to avoid going from the 6th to the 7th degree. So that's one way to get around it. It's nice if you know how to handle it. Okay. And mark the phrasing. Okay. So there will be questions like this. And on the later exams, the more recent ones, if we get that clever, they're just going to give you 2 bars. And you're going to have to finish those 2, and then come up with another 4 that makes sense for those 2. So it gets a little bit challenging, but not impossible. Okay? So if you have something better, that's great. Okay. So I would suggest, well, I'm going to run out of time. The last one, A minor, right? You got the 6/8. You have the little dotted rhythm. Same thing. Ends with 1/5. Right? Did you notice what happened there? I started up on a high A, then I went to a G, and then F. Right? Lowered 7th, lowered 6th. Why? Because the direction is down. Okay. So, okay, a couple of, just got 2 minutes. The different chords, right? Question 7 on your exam. I think it's question 7, right? It gives you a bunch of chords. It says name those chords: major, minor, augmented, diminished, dominant, seventh, blah blah blah. There's such a thing as quartal harmony. Those are chords built on perfect fourths. Okay? Our system doesn't do that. Our system, chords are built on thirds. But if we had gone a different route and just the fourth was our main interval, we would have had a totally different harmony. Here's the fourth. Okay? It's a very interesting sound. So, there's an example there on that page. There's an example of a cluster, which is a bunch of notes super close. In other words, basically all minor seconds. Cluster.
Oh yeah. I love that.
I like that
Alright? It's like when your cat walks on the piano at night. Okay. Then you have Noah. You're gonna miss exciting stuff here. Then you have
Yama.
polychords. Poly meaning many, chords meaning or polytonal. You're going to get, let's say, a C major triad down here and an F sharp major triad up there at the same time. Okay? So you can look those up. For example, explored by a number of composers back in early 1900s. Okay, so look all that stuff. You got a week. Don't eat too many chocolates. Sure is.